And we're live. Welcome to the Satanic Apologist after party. So far, we have here with us Duke Bonanza, Evans Murphy, Nadine Cowan, Satanic Apologist himself, and moi. And we've just been shooting the shit a little bit, but we'll be carrying on with some crazy-ass conversation. And Satanic Apologist has promised us that by the end of this stream, he'll be way out of it, and it should be fairly entertaining. If he'd stop with the drum. What are you, an animal from the Muppets?
I actually dressed up as an animal for Halloween when Halloween.
That's awesome.
My mom did.
Very good. Now there's two robotters.
Yeah. Two robotters? Oh, why? Duke, are you roboting too?
I wasn't talking.
Oh. Oh, okay.
I know, right?
I thought it was somebody else.
Right?
You all right there, man? That's unusual.
That's strange.
Let me see if I can fix the robot.
Say that again, Stephen Hawking.
Fucked up, Neil.
Okay, he's gone.
It was
now.
pretty funny.
What? Too soon?
It was pretty funny.
That was funny.
That's kind of what it reminds me of, like that voice modulator that he has, right? So he can speak. That was a fucking amazing piece of technology, that's for sure.
Yeah, what a fantastic person.
Yeah, he was. Absolutely. One of my all-time heroes. Yeah. And I love the people, I love all the theists that kept saying that on his deathbed he decided to go back to being a believer, and he totally didn't.
Oh, yeah.
They always try that crap.
Well, of course he did.
Because they did that with Hitchens, you know. And if anybody's actually read Mortality by Hitchens, which is a fantastic book, you know.
I have not.
Yeah, Mortality by Christopher Hitchens. It's a short book. He didn't get to complete it before he died. Totally. It's fantastic. But in there, he kind of chronicles his journey through cancer. And at one point, he says, "If I have a deathbed confession, assume that I'm not in my right mind."
Yeah,
I don't actually mean it.
Yeah, I've actually seen that quoted somewhere before. So,
yeah,
he said it live.
Are you there, Russ, or are we just seeing your avatar? Oh, apparently we can't hear you. So he's just gonna hang out in silence.
Like the Bible Belt Atheist.
Yeah, for real.
He can't even get in. He's having issues getting in. Oh, there we go.
Jesus doesn't want him to talk.
He also doesn't want him for a sunbeam.
For a sunbeam?
Yeah, even the old Nirvana song. Well, I don't know if it was a Nirvana song, but they did it live on the Unplugged thing. Jesus doesn't want me for a sunbeam.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I didn't catch on there for some.
Sorry, I just woke up.
He mills him up. Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. I remember that was an old Judy Blume book. I never really read that one. My sister had that one. My favorite of the Judy Blume books was always the Tales of Fourth Grade Nothing.
I remember those.
Yeah.
I never read them.
I was a big Madeleine L'Engle fan. The Wrinkle in Time series.
I loved that book.
Yeah. And the Three Investigators. I used to love those books.
I like the Encyclopedia Brown ones. What the hell?
I keep getting hangout calls from some unknown caller. I think it's Bible.
I know it's.
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
from Bible.
It is. I don't know what he's doing. Trying to phone us.
Like Poltergeist.
He's in the Bible Belt, so we can't, you know, we don't need to cut him too much slack.
It's Jesus actively stopping his connection.
Interesting.
I'm so tired of this conversation.
Which
What
one?
conversation?
Somebody, there's this big, stupid conversation I was part of, and it says, the one lady says, "How about you prove God does not exist since you're a very small minority who don't believe?" I said, "You can't prove a negative. So are you saying that there is no God? Is that why you can't prove it?" Send.
I had no idea.
Oh, that's weird. I got a strange feedback. Somebody.
Yeah, usually when it gets to the point they go, well, you can't prove God doesn't exist, you've pretty much exhausted their intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah, this was another person that I only just...
Is everybody robotic or is it just me?
You're not robotic.
Everybody's coming through clear to me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, well, when they say you can't disprove God, I always say, well, I don't have to. He does a fine job of it himself.
That's a
Yes,
good one
he
too.
does.
I'll have two.
What I hate is Twitter is the ultimate platform for them to fucking logic bomb and run. It's like boom, 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 and they scatter because there's absolutely no way you can refute their bullshit.
Whoever that is roboting.
Yeah, you might have to kill the video feed again, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, I was enjoying looking at his beautiful face as well.
Oh, you sweet little man, you.
I do what I can. It's that Southern charm.
Well, what I find is amazing with Twitter, it's the ultimate idiot platform. You can basically make all your assertions in less than 200 characters, and then whoever's on the opposing opinion, good fucking luck addressing any of their topics in less than 200 characters. That's why S.J. Thompson flourishes on Twitter, because it's you can't really say anything in less than 200 characters.
Well, and also she can just ignore you.
Yeah.
Well, she does. She does. Well, what SJ loves to do is she'll rotate her tweets and she'll retweet all of her shit over and over again, new. So all the points that you bastardized her on before, she either tries to shore up or she ignores and just posts the shit over again. And she adjusted her blog once or twice after getting slammed.
Yeah, she just refuses to accept that we answer things.
Yeah, she doesn't like our answers. That's why.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of if somebody said, you can't, how do you prove that 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2? And you're like, well, here's 2 marbles. Here's one, here's the other. And then they just ask the same question again. But that doesn't address my question. Why does 1 + 1 equal 2?
Because your moral compass says 1 + 1 equals 2, therefore God.
Well, you can't have morals without God. Period.
Or purpose. Or purpose or meaning.
Purpose,
No. Why would you have purpose
morals.
without God?
Well, you can't have it. It's just simply not.
Possible?
And then if I point to all these things that say that I can, that meaning is self-generated. And,
la 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 la.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey.
La, la,
whatever.
La, la.
It's not really addressing my arguments.
No.
I don't care that you've actually spent time studying morality. My book said so.
My book said so.
And I have a PhD in human resources. Whatever it is, a master's degree or whatever she's got.
Yeah, there you go.
She's got a master's degree.
She's a lovely.
I don't know if she's working on her PhD or not, but if you got a PhD in human resources, you're a fucking Bible scholar.
Apparently.
No, I mean, it's bad enough. If you've doubled down the same talking point so many times that an inane dragon makes a video chronicling all of the responses to your questions, and it's like there's like a dozen people who have all answered your questions, and you're still pretending like you're not. I think I don't know what else to say to you at that point.
Yeah, well, that's entertainment, man.
Oh man, did y'all know that she had written 2 young adult Christian fiction books? I'm perusing her blog right now.
I did not.
Oh, this has got to be just fantastic.
Well, what I love.
Does it look like I'm frozen, or am I just staying very still? I must be staying very still.
You're just staying very still.
Good on my end.
I got into a conversation with her once about Bible shit, and once I finished some of my studies, in about a year, I could officially claim that I'm a Bible scholar, officially, with paper to back it up. And I'm like, so what education level do you have in New Testament studies? Because you seem to, like, you come across as if you know what I'm talking about. And she goes, none. I'm a human resources professor. And I'm like, no biblical studies? No. And I'm like, for fuck's sake.
That's what she said to you?
No, I said that to her. I said, for fuck's sake.
No. She didn't do biblical studies.
No, from what I understand, she has no formal education in the Bible whatsoever. Just
she's going on
armchair Christianity.
Yeah, well.
Well, you know, you can't be a theologian. You can't study theology unless you're a Christian. Didn't know if you guys knew that.
You have to have a personal relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you can't be a geologist if you're not a rock. So.
And like her blog post about the historicity of Jesus.
Whoa. God.
Well, there were 500 witnesses, dude. That's it.
But they're all zombies. I think they were looking for brains.
But no, man, no, that's it. It says it. It's quantified, dude. It's over. We're done.
Yeah, I know.
Put a fork in us.
Well, I had an argument for her flunky followers about Josephus, the Testimony in Flavium, which I found to be highly enlightening that the fucker didn't know what I was talking about.
He made it.
Can I be heard?
Yes.
Yeah, we got you now.
Who come in?
Hey, there's Bible Belt. All right.
He made it.
He'll sit in the corner and be quiet the whole chat.
Did you have to restart?
No, I actually had to get my lazy ass off the couch and go get my laptop.
Okay, that worked too.
Yeah, I just have to.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we
gotcha,
can all
man.
hear you.
I just have to give a real quick shout out to OtterBox cases because
Okay, you can hear me
without
now?
them, I would have a really screwed up phone right now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
OtterBoxes are great.
Yeah, without them, I would have a really fucked up phone right now.
Ooh. What's wrong with your phone?
Me throwing it across living rooms and bedrooms and at walls and doors and stuff.
You shouldn't do that. It might.
Buddy.
You shouldn't do that. It tends to break phones. Just saying.
Well, that's why I said I'm happy I have an OtterBox on it. So
Yeah.
So Duke's a member of the Church of the Risen Macho Man Randy Savage, apparently.
Okay,
No. I am the high priest, sir. The high priest of the risen Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, no. Sorry, I didn't elevate you to the status I should have.
Gee whiz.
You keep that in mind, damn it.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
What was his wife's name?
What was what?
His wife, his manager.
Oh, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. Okay.
See, because I'm a devotee of the Church of Ric Flair.
Woo!
And so
Ric Flair is a heathen.
I guess we can't be
Freaking
friends anymore, dude.
No, we can't because Ric Flair is a fucking heretic, man.
Nah, you're the heretic here.
Oh, jeez.
You
Oh, we're getting a
bitches,
little smackdown going on.
you
Tell me this,
bitches know that Andre the Giant could just basketball palm your bitches' heads, and therefore it's over. I don't care about Hart or Savage.
Well,
They'll
we
just
found
pick
the
them up like
monotheist.
pumpkins.
Look, I don't care about that because he's not the one that's the risen savior. Okay, it's the Macho Man. Macho Man has risen to glory, and if you will just become an accolade, we can teach you the celestial flying elbow.
No. Because if I yell Ric Flair in any crowd, everybody's immediately going to go woo. I mean, that's there.
Oh, yeah?
There is no. So yeah, absolutely. So
If I yell
my
Macho
number of
Man Randy
followers-
Savage in any crowd, everybody's going to go, oh, yeah! So,
everybody's going to go, who's that loser? We need some more Ric Flair here. Yeah. My church outnumbers yours, therefore it's true. Woo!
Well, all right.
You all need Satan.
dude, Satan comes to my house every other Saturday for tea.
And he likes it really hot.
He takes Earl Grey with a squeeze of lemon and 3 drops of virgin's blood. And I've never been so happy to be so unpopular in my life.
I have trouble keeping the virgins on stock.
Oh, I don't. I just, be myself.
Well, okay. You're devotee of the risen Randy, the Macho Man Savage. Of course, nobody will ever touch your penis. Ever.
That's right. I touch it enough. It's fine. I touch it enough for everybody.
How did we
It's like
end up there already?
It's
my fault.
Oh,
It's always my fault.
oh yeah! Snap, snap, snap. Snapping the rat. It's like, oh yeah. That's the whole appeal of being a Randy Savage devotee. You can scream, oh yeah, while snapping the rat.
And
It doesn't matter
breathing
'cause y'all are all
fire.
wrong because it's the Undertaker that's the best.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
God. Neil, you're only saying that because you own his boots.
So?
I mean, don't you guys realize that Andre the Giant would just brutalize them like with his left testicle? How can you deny the power of the giant?
Yeah, but he's dead.
Yeah, and he also couldn't walk very well at the end. He was a cripple.
Yeah, he was pretty fucked up, yeah.
Yeah, your
There
guy's
you go.
dead, dude. Get out of here.
He was great.
Well,
He was great in The Princess Bride.
He was amazing in The Princess Bride.
Stop rhyming and I mean it. Anybody got a peanut?
We're selling it. Sportsmanlike.
Yeah. I actually have one of the guys hang on here. Let me see if I can get it off of there. There we go.
Snap
wasn't he
the
French?
Button.
Yeah, I
A
think
little
Andre
button
the
here.
Giant was French.
Well, there you go. That
Snapping-
just proves everything you said right off the bat, dude.
Well, I mean, I know. And Christy Santiago, snapping the rat is a euphemism for beaten off.
That's awesome. That's an awesome pin,
There you
Neil.
go. Anybody want a peanut?
Is that not objectively, if not the greatest film ever made? Certainly one of them. It's got to be one of the greatest. It's got to be the greatest film ever made that you could show anybody. Anybody can watch that movie.
See,
I've
me and
never
my
seen
wife were having this discussion earlier, and she said that it was okay. And I've never been so close to divorce in my life.
I was just saying, did you divorce her? How far are you off from signing the papers, sir?
We're working through it. I mean, I love her dearly, but some things there are lines that you can cross. Like, get strung out on drugs, we'll work it out. Cheat on me, you'll work it out. The Princess Bride is just an okay movie. I don't know if I can get past that, dude.
It'd be the same thing if she said it about she said it about Big Trouble in Little China. I'd be like, wait.
Oh, that's a great show too.
It is
what's
objectively
funny?
amazing.
You know what's hilarious is my buddy Chris, before he got married to his wife, they went on a date, and she really, really, really wanted to see The Princess Bride. And he was like, because he hadn't heard anything about it, and he just thought, it sounds like a sappy chick flick. It's like, okay, I got to impress her, so I'll take her to this movie that she really wants to see. Sounds kind of lame, but we'll go anyways. He loved it. She hated it by the end of it. So
That's how you know it's
hilarious.
not the one.
Yeah.
I mean,
The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
You've never seen The Princess Bride.
You've got to do that, dude.
Never seen it, never once thought about seeing it, to be honest.
Oh, dude, I'm kicking you out of the chat right now.
yeah.
Was it made after Ghostbusters?
No, before.
Before.
No, after. After.
It was after.
Sure.
Okay.
Was it
Well,
after?
see,
After, yeah.
My
It was
cutoff date is Ghostbusters. Anything post Ghostbusters, not interesting.
Why?
Because
There's
you
some
just
phenomenal movies out there. Like Aliens.
Aliens.
Game over, man. Game over.
Game over. Yeah, okay, I'll admit to watching Aliens. I liked Aliens until Resurrection. Then it was like, really? Fucking really?
I like Resurrection too.
I didn't like the third one either.
I didn't watch anything after the fourth one. I liked the third one, but I didn't. After the fourth one, where they're cloning them and everything, I was just kind of like, I'm done. Right?
Yeah, that got a little strange.
I like Alien versus Predator. I thought that was all right.
It was good.
That was okay.
Nothing at all like the comic book. But,
No, nothing. They made me buy like 2 cases of the fucking trading cards for Aliens versus Predator.
Did you ever watch? Did you ever watch the video where the guy talks about the different like hidden Easter eggs in the Alien in the Predator movies?
yeah, you're talking about the alien skull on the wall
Yeah.
and shit like that?
Alien skull on the wall, a Klingon batlet on the wall.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but there's also like the gun. If you watch Predator 2, the gun he gives Danny Glover at the end has a name on it, and it's
Pirate
connected
guy.
to the comic books. The pirate guy that fought the Predator on the island in the comic books and stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was
That's right.
really cool, man, because it's like it's just an example of somebody who's really paid attention to the lore when they made the movies, you know?
Yep. Absolutely.
Unless
When I
I'm
first saw
wrong
those-
and they made the comic book after the movie.
No, the comic book was pre the movie.
Cool.
Are
Stop
you
that
talking-
yawning.
No.
The first Predator movie was the first one. Then they started making comics, and that's where most of the lore came from.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, I love what's his name? Something Duke. The black guy, the bald-headed black guy that's always shaven in the first Predator movie.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name.
I don't remember his name,
It's
but
like something Duke though. That's a scary looking dude. He just looks like a scary dude, man.
That's pretty funny.
Interesting.
That sang in,
Breaking up. Dude, you're totally breaking up.
Okay. Any better?
Yes.
Yes.
Who was the dude that was the singer of he was a singer of a rock band.
Well, that
80s.
narrows it down.
No, the cult of the Living Color, the Cult of Personality.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Glover?
Danny
no.
Glover. Yeah.
Danny Glover.
Yeah,
Danny
wasn't-
Glover.
Was not Danny Glover, something Glover, but wasn't he in a Schwarzenegger movie?
If he was, I don't remember.
No, he was in Predator 2, if you're referring to Danny Glover.
Yeah, I know Danny Glover is in Predator 2.
Yeah, the guy that sang for Living Color, his last name was Glover, I think.
I'm too
We're about to find out.
drunk
you
to
are.
fucking Google foo anything.
I'm
Corey
Googling
Glover
it.
was his name.
Corey Glover.
Corey Glover.
Corey
There you
Glover.
go.
Right.
And the guitar player who was phenomenal was Vernon Reed.
Yeah, Vernon
Oh,
Reed's amazing.
Oh,
Oh,
Jesus
fuck yeah.
Christ, he's brilliant.
Agreed.
I tell you, their drummer was fucking brilliant too. Some of the
They were a good band.
Off syncopated shit that they played. It was
yeah.
And also, I mean, is there any more recognizable guitar riff? Like that guitar riff is up there with like the Back in Black as far as just instantaneous knowing what song that is. Like the minute that riff starts up, you know what it is.
Yeah, there's
a locked up or some kind of shit.
Yep, that's definitely one of those riffs that you definitely recognize within 2 or 3 seconds of it starting.
Yeah, it's just immediate. You're like, it's original too. It's one of those like weird riffs. It's like really original, but it sounds like anybody could have written it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. I tell you what else is cool. Seeing them live is just a fucking mind-blowing experience.
I saw them live.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
I have a question from Josiah. So this guy says to him on Twitter, evolution can't be tested either, so what's your point? So he's wondering if any of you guys want to be tagged in this tweet.
Evolution can't be tested?
Yes.
It's observed every fucking day.
Yeah. Tell him to tag me. I'll go be a cunt to him. I'm fine with it.
Who's that? I can't see my computer or something's locked up.
You can tag me as well. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Duke and Evan.
Fucking tag all of us. I'll have fun with it.
You know what? Tell him to tag Jackson Wheat.
Yeah, dude. Jackson's sharp. Yeah. Jackson's a sharp dude.
And he's a cutie pie.
Yeah. One day I hope to be that smart. Probably not going to happen, but you know.
Yeah,
me either. Not in my lifetime.
Sweetheart, I don't know what the hell's wrong with. Oh, no, my mouse is good.
I've consigned myself to being a stupid bastard, and I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm right there with you, dude.
I'm right there with you. I'm not quite comfortable with consigning myself to that fate yet.
We love you just the way you are, Mark. It's okay.
Dude,
everyone's stupid. Good, just the way they are.
Stupid fucker, but I'm a black belt in snark.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, Jen might have something to say about that.
I'm currently training for what am I training for? The ultimate faggotry. I like that.
Okay, there we go. I don't know what the hell happened, but I ended up something weird.
That damn Linux garbage you're running.
Oh, I'm so pissed off at this thing, and the worst thing is every time I've tried to go back and updated the Windows, they still haven't fixed the AMD driver problem that they sent out, and every time I reinstall Windows, it won't. It puts the newest AMD drivers on there, so I can't even get the old ones anymore.
What version of Windows are you running?
When Windows 10, it was working just fine until they updated the AMD USB drivers.
You need to run 7. Turn off the update so it won't automatically roll up to 10.
My machine came with 10.
But 7's so much better than 10.
I know, but my machine came with 10, so I don't have 7.
Well, you can download 7.
You've got internet. You've got 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I know it's a pain in the arse, and I like Linux better, except for the minor problems that I've been having. So, fuck it. Oh, then Windows can't fuck with my shit anymore.
All right. So, what were you gonna say, Duke?
Anyway.
Oh, I had great news. Like, so my truck has been crazy. Like, you guys heard me try to like drive anywhere while I was on a stream because I was like, oh, I'm out of cigarettes. Yeah. And they're like, what is that horrific freaking noise? So I was looking at, I was looking at trying to fix it. It was looking like it was going to be like $600 in parts to fix it. I fixed it for $18.
What?
Hell yeah!
How do you go from that king's ransom to 18 fucking bucks?
Man, it was like I was looking at thinking I was going to have to change the entire drivetrain out, but I just had to change the U joint. U joint was $18. I was like,
that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I got to do ball joint work and alignment work on mine because my driver's side tire right now you can start to see the threads on one spot of it. I'm like, oh shit! I didn't even notice that it was that bad until just recently. So.
That happens.
I've got to rebuild the entire front end on mine and replace the water pump.
Or I'll come down with mine. You can fix mine too.
Hey, sure,
no
man.
idea.
Bring it up. I'm planning on taking a like of work at the first of the year and just doing all the maintenance and house crap that I need to do. Like just spend my vacation catching up on crap.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be getting a rape van here shortly.
That's fitting.
Is that nondescript white van with no windows?
Yep.
I want one of those.
I'm getting it painted like the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo.
Oh, that would be dope.
Yep.
It's got to be the right year, though.
I know. Oh, well, I want to get one of the Fu Manchu Ford Caravans, but they're a little bit hard to come by over here in Germany. So I'm getting the Volkswagen version, unfortunately.
So, real talk, man. Why would you do the Mystery Machine when you could do the A-Team?
They're both cool.
You're one of those fucking idiots, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Oh, Jesus, fuck.
When I lived in Israel, we used to get together in the main hall or whatever to watch that show every Friday night. Of course, it was in English, but they had the Hebrew subtitles. But there was like 4 of us that were there, and we all had E's in our name somewhere, so we decided to dub ourselves the E-Team. We all garnered nicknames and shit, too. It's pretty funny. I was 15. What do you want? 16, I think. Or 17, I don't know, whatever.
Did you attempt to phone home?
Yeah.
E-Team.
No, E-Team.
One reason. E-Team. Same difference.
Oh, no, I got it. Yeah.
Main reason I'm doing the Scooby-Doo thing is because you could paint the words Mystery Machine on it. A-Team didn't have any descriptive terms. The one side's going to read Mystery, the other side's going to read Fruit Candy Machine. I'm going to see how long I can drive around without getting hassled.
Well, you'd probably be hassled if you painted it either way.
More than
everyone's going to want to see it. Everyone's going to want to see it, right?
I just want something cool. Something that I can load my drum set and amplifiers around it.
You're breaking up on us again, man.
What a jerk.
He's always breaking up with me. Anyways,
yeah. Satan doesn't.
You know what you should do? Get a van and paint it like fucking Starsky and Hutch's red car. Put the stripe down.
Ooh.
That would be all right.
Well, if I painted it like the General Lee, I'd be considered a racist.
Roll Tide.
Yeah. Well, it's the General Lee. I mean, who gives a shit?
Hipsters.
It's pop culture. It's an icon from pop hipsters. Yeah, it's an icon from pop culture. For fuck's sake.
Well,
I don't know. I want a Batmobile.
The Batmobile would be cool. I have a baseball cap that I wear downtown Nuremberg a lot, and on the front of the baseball cap is the stars and bars. Nothing, other than stars and bars. And on the back, I have a unit patch on the hat, and I get nothing but shit from people in Nuremberg whenever I walk around wearing that hat. And most of the time, I get shit from American soldiers stationed over here in Germany, down in Grafenwöhr.
Why?
And it's like, well, because it's like, first off, why are you wearing a unit patch on the back of your hat with a rebel flag on the front of it? And I'm like, oh, I thought this was a Jolly Roger. Fuck me. I might wear a unit patch because I was in the unit.
You're robot again.
Yeah, well, Fui, Hong Kong Fui. Wait a minute. Okay.
It's the number one super guy, dude.
Number one super guy, Hong Kong Fooey. Dude, I just got a hold of like the rock version of all the Saturday morning theme songs, which is absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, the Ramones did. Which one did they? Oh, the Banana Split show. I think
Ramones did Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, that's right.
Yeah.
What was that called? What was that CD called?
Saturday morning. Let Let me find
Yeah.
it. I've got it right here.
Does it have Trip and Daisy on it doing the what was the name of that?
Let's see. Trip and Daisy. They did Friends, Sigmund the Sea Monster.
Yeah.
Let's see. Liz Fair with Material Issued is the Tra-La-La song. The 1 banana, 2 banana, 3 banana, 4. SJ's a silly bitch.
Yeah.
She's kind of like a whore. And then Sponge.
I love Liz Fair.
That's
Sponge
my ringtone, eh? My
Speed
ringtone
Racer.
is the Banana Splits. That's right. Sponge did Speed Racer. That's right.
Yeah. Fucking, they've got the Bugaloos, Underdog, Gigantor.
Reverend Horton Heat's on there, isn't he? Didn't Reverend Horton Heat do the Johnny Quest theme?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I totally
Stop that
forgot about
pigeon. Stop that pigeon.
Stop the pigeon.
He's from my
Grab
hometown.
him.
Cool. And fucking Dig did Fat Albert theme. Awesome.
Who did?
Dig.
Oh, kidding me. Oh, that's great. Is this like an actual album you can buy or what?
Yeah.
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 Oh, hilarious.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Various songs.
It's
Saturday morning.
It's
Somebody
called
shoot me a link.
Saturday Morning Cartoons Greatest Hits. The record's actually kind of hard to find.
Oh heck, here we go. Thanks, Google. Why are people
It was
emailing?
the funny thing is too about that, the record's hard to find, but like if you went back like let's say 15 years ish, you couldn't walk into a used CD store without it being in there.
Right. That's very true.
Yeah, it's $40 on
goodness.
Amazon.
You know who comes up and the people also looked for? The Jerky Boys.
Oh God. Hi, my name is Saul.
My
I need to talk to somebody about warts. I got warts all over my ass and genitalia. They're all knobby looking.
Knobby. I was at the concert and then he jumped off the stage and then he was put his fingers in my butt. What kind of a man puts his fingers in another man's butt?
It was silly. It was just he was so hurtful. He was so mean and hurtful. And then he threw me down a flight of stairs. And my shoes fell off.
Oh man, the movie was fucking classic though.
I still watch the Jerky Boys every so often. I'll get that nostalgia hit, and I'm just like,
another
Jerky
one.
Boys.
The Ghostbusters, you lying sack.
Oh, dude, yeah. Frank Rizzo here. Hey, listen, they was up on the roof slapping each other with the hot mops. I got up there, I fired them off on their fucking head.
This is the fucking interwebs, Neil. Everyone lies.
What?
I guess so.
No, not everyone.
I
Most
try not
everyone. Most everyone, but not everyone.
I have a pretty hardcore truth policy.
Actually, I don't know if even most everyone lies, but a lot of people do.
They say, statistics say that the average person will lie something like a minimum of 10 times a day. Mostly they're like little stupid things just to not hurt someone's feelings or something.
Or out of embarrassment.
It's like, are you mad at me, Shotzi? And you're like, no, I'm not mad at you, hun. Next time you make the fucking gravy with lumps, I'm beating some ass.
What?
Sam Harris's book online, or Sam Harris's essay rather,
was good.
Turned essay online was life impactful for me. As Ryan Holiday says, it's one of the few Quake books in my life that you read and you actually integrate into like your personal operating system. He did book? It's a Lying by Sam Harris.
Liars.
Such a good job of boiling it down into easily digestible bits.
Right.
Both of his, Lying and Free Will, are basically essays, but they're so well done. And I say that, and I'm sort of a mid-range Sam Harris fan, because there's some stuff like his book on spirituality I found to be pretty meh. I don't know if anybody's read it, but
I didn't read it, but I did do is I do use his guided meditation occasionally, and I think it's really good.
Yeah, his guide and the gosh, what was the name of the book? I have it in the other room. It was good, but it wasn't. I guess I got spoiled because the first two books I read by Sam were Lying and Free Will. And they're such hard hitters that whenever you get into things like Letters to a Christian Nation and
I got that one. Moral Landscape.
The Moral Landscape.
The Moral Landscape's amazing. The End of Faith.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
Well,
and the End of Faith is pretty good, but in my hierarchy of Sam's books, Lying is at the top and Free Will's right up underneath it. Okay. And then the rest of them kind of cascade down.
I got both of those right here.
I love that.
Don't really care for him too much. I've seen,
you're roboting again.
You're roboting really bad, man.
Jesus, man, I hate this computer. I'm not really into Sam Harris per se. I mean, I'm sure he's got some really good shit, but I tend not to read free thinking essays and whatnot, and I tend not to read atheistic type written books like Dawkins or some of the other more popular atheists. I will admit to liking Carrier. I do really like Carrier, but I tend to usually read the theist books and the Christian perspective books because it gives me a sharper edge in dismantling their arguments.
Of course.
Hey, have you ever, while you're on the Christian books, have you ever read any Sproul? R.C. Sproul?
No.
See,
too dry.
Because I have a good theist friend of mine, and we're really good friends. And he's a very, I guess you'd say, sophisticated believer. He's a Reformed, so he's a 5-point Calvinist, but a little bit more. He's a presuppositionalist. So with all the entrapments that goes with, and I have several of these friends that are in the same group. But I'm reading currently. Let me see.
No idea where this fucking thing came from.
Wow.
That's nice.
Look,
Mr.
It's a sex toy.
No, it's just a chain. I have no fucking clue where it came. I just found it sitting on my bed. I'm like, where'd this come from? What did I do last night?
Just sitting on my bed. Yeah.
No, I was digging through my books and all of a sudden I'm like, what the hell's that? It was all shiny. And I'm like, what the hell's that? And I pick it up and I'm like,
shiny.
where the fuck did this come from? And now
Shiny.
that I think about it, I think I know whose it is.
Reminds me of Firefly when you said shiny.
Man.
Oh, man. Nadine.
Yes, honey.
Can I just say this guy, Mark Rabbich, that your beau is sparring with on Twitter right now is a complete freaking knobhead.
Yeah, I noticed. I already muted the conversation.
Well, at least he's complete.
You know what though? Jackson Weed is in on it now. The Slayer, the anti-evolutionist Slayer has entered the fray. It's over.
Woohoo! I might have to go look. I've got the links to it. I can look at it, but I just didn't not want my phone blowing up and everything else blowing up because of this idiot guy. And I'm not talking about
Mine was getting blown up.
Yeah.
The Milsabub said that one of his favorite books was this one. Here, the Why There Is No God. And I don't know if you know this, the Milsabub, I don't know if you know this, but Armin lives here, where I live. Lives here in Vancouver.
I haven't picked that one up.
I need to.
It's
on
good.
my wish
I got
list
the
on
audio
Amazon.
book too. Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. I got 2 credits to use on Audible.
Oh man, Audible is the greatest thing ever.
I live on Audible.
Have you read Sapiens?
Sapiens.
No.
Holy crap, that's a great book.
That's life changing.
That is
perspective changing.
Yeah, that's.
It is so in depth.
It's in depth, but it's easily accessible.
What is it about?
But I couldn't put it down. Like, I started reading it, and I finished it in 2 nights. It was one of those that, like, I stayed up until 2 or 3 in the morning because the writing is so, man, it's so good.
What's it about?
Evolution of human society and ethics and like what different landmarks in the history of our evolution are there and how they impacted. And
okay, what's the most expensive one here?
Yeah, it's basically an amalgamation of the evolution of Homo sapiens from basically the Stone Ages through the modern ages. And he also wrote another one that was called Homo. What was it called?
It was called No Homo. It was just before he. It was just before he got into his J.O. Crystal Buddy jerk circle.
What jerk circle's happening now?
Maybe I'll get this selfish.
Well, once the monkey learned that opposable thumb could get up underneath the head and twist just right, we've never been the same.
Oh man, Steven Pinker doesn't do his own audiobooks. That sucks.
Yeah, he doesn't, but Enlightenment Now is really good, though. Enlightenment Now I'm listening to right now, and it's really good.
It is. I
might have to check them out. I'm not too much into the evolution books, but I might give them a check out.
Sapiens is Sapiens. Well, if you were going to pick up one book on the evolution of human species, I'd recommend Sapiens. I think it's
Sapiens.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's impactful enough that everybody on the planet should read it. In my opinion, it's one of the few books I'd throw into that category.
I've got a book series by Jeffrey Burton Russell. He's a historian who basically cataloged the entire concept of good and evil with an emphasis on Satan from the ancient times and up to our time, the Mephistopheles, modern day Satan in today's society. It's like 4 or 5 books, brilliant fucking books on the subject of Satan from a not a theological point of view, but from a secular point of view. And it's just brilliant. Okay, it's got something to do with Satan, but it's beside the point. Awesome books. You should check those out too.
So what is it like viewing Satan from more of an archetypical Jungian or like Iliada or something like that, or? Yeah,
basically.
Okay.
Does it draw the Prometheus? Does it draw like the comparisons to Prometheus, to the Prometheus story?
In the one book he does. I can't remember it off the top of my head because I'm plowed at the moment.
What's the name of it?
Let me look it up. I don't know. I don't think they're on Audible though.
That's fine. I'm a bookaholic.
That Sapiens book you're talking about, Evans. That's that Yuval Harari guy, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that dude is. Man, that book. Like I say, I think I read it in 2 nights. It was one of the few ones that gripped me enough where I'm like up at 3 a.m. just trying to cram through it because I don't want to stop reading. It's rare that a book. I've been reading freaking Chosen by God by R.C. Sproul for 2 months.
Cool.
All right, I just bought it on Audible. I just bought it.
All right.
Oh, dude, you're not going to be disappointed. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The author's name is Jeffrey Burton Russell. And one of the titles in his series is Lucifer, the Devil in the Middle Ages.
Bertrand Russell.
Burton.
No. I've seen these. I've already got one on my damn my wish list here, which is quite long. Yeah, Prince of Darkness, Satan.
Prince of Darkness, Devil, Perceptions of Evil from
Mephistopheles.
Dude, those books are just. I'm in love with those books.
What's the middle name again?
Burton. Jeffrey Burton Russell. And there's one book that I absolutely adore. You can see it in the video thing. It's my Catechisms of Lucifer.
Yeah, I've actually looked through that before.
This is brilliant book. It's stupid, insanely expensive, and I finally tracked down a copy, but it's also a book to definitely get a hold of. It's more wishy-washy on the mumbo-jumbo side, but brilliant. Lovely book.
Lovely.
Fucking, above all, honor Satan, the inner master.
I really liked The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt, too. It's a really good read.
Now, have you read his new one, The Coddling of the American Mind?
No.
Not yet. Like I said, I had 3 Audible credits, and I did a Twitter thing to say, hey guys, what book would you recommend? And I ended up settling on Sapiens.
Oh, B. Mills above, jeez.
And Enlightenment Now by Stephen Pinker, and On the Historicity of Jesus by Richard Carrier, the three I got. And then I picked up another copy of Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. I'm going to read through that again.
I just picked that one up. I haven't read it yet. No, the Coddling of the American Mind was pretty good. I think that he does a really good job of outlining. And one thing that I don't like about Haidt is he's such a centrist that he has a hard time taking a point on anything. He's such a fence straddler, but he does a really good job of outlining the how we got where we're at.
Cool.
And so, and especially with the Coddling of the American Mind, it's changed the way that me and my wife parent. You know, or at least his other book recommendations, like Free Range Kids and others, like that. Those are things that every new parent should read, in my mind, because his analysis of how we got to the easily triggered, kind of overprotective society that we did is spot on. I can't find any flaw with it, and he really researches his stuff.
You know what we
I like
should
the way
do?
Joe Rogan puts it when he says we live in a nerfed up fucking world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And Haidt
Everyone's wrapped in bubble wrap.
Really lays out how that happened, like in a maybe like a non-judgmental, like it's rational where we're at now, but we got to kind of reverse it. And
hey, you know what we should do? We should, like, on Twitter, set up a list of 5 books that you would recommend for us to read or for me to read, and like pass the list amongst us, because I'm an Audible fiend and I spend a good $200-300 on books. And I love books. And you mentioned you got Carriers on the Historicity of Jesus.
Yeah.
Excellent fucking book. Brilliant.
I haven't read that one yet.
You have to. It's an awesome book.
The thing about it is I'm.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm agnostic on the current historicity of Jesus. I haven't done enough
Me
research
too.
on the subject to say one way or the other. You know,
My base
stay
base
out of
point.
those debates.
Well, my base point is I don't care if Jesus was historical or mythological. He's still a lie, regardless.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I used to be on the fence, and I used to lean towards, okay, he was historical. But now, after reading a lot of this work, I'm like leaning heavily towards mythicism.
So,
And there's another book called The Jesus Puzzle by Earl Doherty, which basically set a lot of this in motion for Carrier and them to pick up the gauntlet.
maybe you can answer a question for me that I've been dying to ask a mythicist,
Okay.
or somebody that has read this book. Is, from what I understand, that Carrier uses a lot of Bayesian inference to outline his argument for the historicity of Jesus.
Yeah.
My question is where does he come up with the values on his priors? Because that's always thrown me off on, like, using Bayesian inference, which, I mean, Bayesian inference is kind of abstract anyway. So everybody's priors are going to be a little bit different, and that's expected. But where does he pick his priors from for his inferences? Because I've heard him say that he thinks that, there's a 1/3 chance that Jesus was actually a really person. But what's all, and I need to just read the book, but I haven't been able to commit that much time for intensive study. But what I'm wondering is how he picks his priors. Because if he picks his priors low, then of course you're going to get a significantly lower end result given the evidence. But if he picks his priors high, you could end up with something like, well, there's a 4/5 chance that he can exist. I don't know how you use Bayesian inference in relation to history is what really, and
I couldn't tell you.
So I haven't waded into the book, but that's always, whenever I heard about his method for inferring that Jesus didn't exist, it threw up some red flags for me. And I probably just haven't done my due diligence in reading the book.
Yeah, I mean, he goes into a long process of explaining why and how. I glanced over it because that was like the really dry points for me. I'll admit I'm not, I'll lose my attention span's not very, very long when it gets to the point of boredom. How he comes to it, I'm not really sure. He explains it in his one chapter kind of thoroughly. In fact, like a quarter of the fucking book is about it. But off the top of my head, I don't remember.
Yeah, because I'm a hardcore Bayesian. That's one of the reasons I came to my strong atheist position is for Bayesian inference. And I can understand my own priors for belief in relation to Bayes' theorem, belief or disbelief. But it's curious to me that he's using that as I just need to buy the book and read it. Is basically what it boils down to.
You won't be disappointed. I'd recommend the book to anyone, believer or non-believer alike. It's a fucking brilliant book, and it's taught me some shit that I had no idea about in reference to some of the historicity, some of the source documentation, and some of the source materials. Brilliant book. Brilliant.
So Johnny Drive-Bys joined us in the chat, and Gage also, I think.
Motherfucking Red's here. Are you sober, Red? I'm not.
Yeah, I'm getting ready for work.
Oh.
Getting ready for work, sucker.
I went back to Whiskey Week. I'm doing another Whiskey Week.
It's Whiskey Week again.
My whiskey week is looking pretty empty.
All right, I gotta break into this shit too, I guess.
The whiskey of the week, boys and girls, is Jura superstition. If your whiskey doesn't have an onk on it, you're whiskeying wrong.
No, man, come on. I got my 46.
I got a Jiffy marker right here. I'll put one on it right now. No, I got the 15-year-old Glenfiddich going. So.
Oh, man, that's it? Jeez,
nice, nonetheless.
Nice. One of my dad and I used to drink together.
So
good stuff.
I've had this bottle since he passed away. We were supposed to drink it, and he passed away. So.
Oh, man. Sorry to hear that.
I've kept it, but it's going to get cracked pretty soon, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, sip it long and sip it lightly. Keep it around.
Oh, yeah. Hey, no looking behind the curtain.
Behind the curtain.
Ignore the man behind the curtain.
Oh, that's where I put that headset. I guess I won't find them back there, will I?
I have a chess set that
I guess I will.
In a lock box that my mom gave me when I was a wee lad, and we used to play chess together. It's one of my prized possessions. Beat to hell, but I still have it.
Oh, man, playing chess with my kids is freaking fantastic.
So am I wrong now?
Huh?
Oh, heck.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Come on, man. Come on, Evan. Get your fucking onk going there.
I don't have an onk, actually. I'm behind. I don't know.
I have no onk either.
There we
I
go.
don't fool around with anything like that.
You're all doing it wrong.
I've got a rosary around here somewhere.
I've actually got a rosary too. One year I dressed up as a cleric or something for Halloween, and I didn't have a costume, so I just went to like the thrift store and got a robe, like a Halloween, like a cleric kind of robe, and they had the ankh on a piece of leather, and a rosary and a couple other long chain kind of things. And so I got those on the way out of the checkout, and that was my gift for Halloween. And a broom handle, of course. No, nice. I needed a staff. I wasn't going to spend any more money, so I used to...
I have this really, really nice wooden rosary that I cut the cross off the bottom of it, and I put a squirrel on it.
Oh. Secret squirrel?
Secret squirrel. I have secret squirrel somewhere. I have a secret squirrel figure.
I got one too somewhere. Yeah, I got this guy sitting right here because he's like one of my all-time favorites.
I got removed from a battery.
You make me very angry, Earthling.
You do not like me when I'm very angry.
The only thing I've got close by
is
some probe.
I'm going to use my
Protoss.
Uh-oh.
XP710 incinerator gun.
Incinerator gun. Let's see. Behind me on my wall of kitschiness, I've got Voltron.
I need to dust
Darth
this thing.
Vader's, numerous squirrels, a couple of chick figures with boobies that I kind of impartial to.
I've got to interject. It's the Q-36 explosive space modulator.
Q-36. Whatever.
Get it right, man. Get it right.
I have the.
I'm pointing it at you right now.
I got kicked out of a Christmas party for my or not Christmas party, Halloween party for my costume one year.
Why?
I was wearing clerical robes, right? Priest robes, and I had this like waist high stuffed doll taped around my crotch. And they look at me and they're like, "What are you here at?" And I'm like,
"You're roboting."
God damn you!
I think this is the first time I've been in with Crimson.
I'm like, they're like, "What's your costume, Mark? That's kind of weird." And I'm like, "I'm a Catholic priest. This is my altar boy."
That's accurate, though.
It is, and this was years. This was a couple of years. This was years before the whole, "Hey, we're diddling kids on a regular basis" shit came to light.
Yeah, I don't think it needed to come to light. It was already to light. It's just too ignored.
Kidding me? It's been going on for centuries.
Yeah. Don't get old, people. You start sounding like Rice Krispie cereal. Crick, crick, crack, 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 crick, crack, crack.
Maybe you do.
Yeah, I do. I'm not even all that old. I'm not ancient like Neil.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dirty. Young and heart, Neil. Young and heart.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have that T-shirt.
What's that?
That T-shirt that I have there. Since I'm not like
that looks like an alien. Is it an alien? No.
Oh, I got that too. Alien Queen.
That's Cthulhu.
Cthulhu.
Oh, is that Cthulhu?
Fucking bow, mortals, bow.
Can't see him very well.
Some dragons up on the wall over there, but
awesome. I've got the role-playing game manual for Cthulhu here somewhere. Maybe.
Mythos.
Maybe it could be. Maybe it's in Calgary still.
There's this game called Cthulhu Wars by he's the same guy who made the Call of Cthulhu game, the Mythos role-playing game. Beautiful figures, beautiful miniature figures.
Yeah.
Definite need to buy if you're a Cthulhu fan.
Yeah, I used to paint all those figures many years ago.
I used to paint Warhammer figures for money.
I'm a big War Machine and Hordes fan. It's been a while since I played, but
I painted whatever figures I felt like it. So usually it was whatever the heck I got a hold of, including the sports cars.
Right.
The 50s.
The muscle cars.
The muscle cars and the Bel Airs and the old, not Bel Airs. All the old cars,
Yeah, for a number of years. For a number of years, I had a game and hobby shop in Schweinfurt, and one of the services that we offered at the store was we would paint your Warhammer armies or your Blood Bowl armies for a price, and we made really good money painting those figures.
Oh wow, it's pretty cool.
Did you ever do any 40K or just regular old Warhammer?
We did some 40K. We got a lot of Space Marines mostly. That's what the kids around the area loved to play in 40K.
What the heck?
40K never really appealed to me. Like I like the minis, like the figures are good, but the rule set, especially like Edition 6 and stuff, just fell all to pieces.
Okay, that's just
I grew to really hate Games Workshop and all their fucking games.
Oh no, I swapped to War Machine and Hordes, run by Privateer Press. They're fantastic. God, I love War Machine. I wish there was a bigger local scene. Me and my wife play it occasionally, but nobody else around here plays. And of course, I live in like a super small town, so
right. Well, that's my problem here. There's no game store around me within, like, the nearest game store is like 150 kilometers from my place, and there's absolutely no
play chess,
no gaming scene whatsoever. None.
No. I used to play Magic and I played a
D&D
all the time, but my DM got married and his wife was a fundamentalist.
Oh, goody.
Yeah, so he was not allowed to play anymore, which kind of really pissed me off. I was a drow elf.
Nice.
It was
come on now, Dritz.
Pretty freaking awesome, but yeah, so we were just getting me all fleshed out really well and getting my character all, all fleshed out and pretending to be nice and using my guys, and then I got the last campaign we played, my character got bit by a vampire too, so
nice.
So yeah, we were going to flesh that out, and then we stopped playing. And it's like, for fuck's sakes, this is going to be really fun.
Yeah, I bet.
I never did any tabletop gaming, but did you guys ever play it was like the top-down video game they made for, I think it was on Xbox. It was Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh.
I still got Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 over in the other room with the other PC games.
Like, not that they made one that was kind of like a strategy game, right? The one I'm talking about, it's like a hack and slash. You run around, and I always played as a dwarf, and I named my dwarf Zod. And then every time I did like a rush against somebody, I would scream "kneel" before Zod, and my ex-wife threatened to divorce me over it.
What?
Notice he said ex-wife.
Yeah, she divorced me. She divorced me because I'm an atheist. I wasn't an atheist back then.
Dirty atheist.
I know, right? Well, that's one of the reasons. We had a terrible relationship. We were really toxic too. So we probably should have like split up 6 months after we met, but we ended up staying together 15 years.
Ow!
Nothing like dragging it out.
Well, strangely enough, my ex-wife is a Christian, but if you would just sit down within 15 minutes, she's like no Christian you'd ever meet because she's whacked out of her mind. But she was a Christian. We got married way too young. I mean, I got back from basic training, and like I was on a couple of days leave from basic training before I had to report to my unit in Germany, and we got married. Should never have happened, ever. Not even.
Oh, Nadine, I don't know if you noticed, but Christy was saying in the chat that she's going to be a purple butterfly for Halloween.
Oh, awesome. No, I didn't notice my, I don't know what happened, but I ended up having to close a bunch of stuff, so I haven't got the chat open again yet. Yeah, because it just kind of choked up for me for a second. But, I have 15 or 25 or so windows open.
Why?
Because I'm doing shit and I'm busy.
Did Alucard leave?
Yeah, I think he was getting ready to go to work.
Yeah.
Go to work, yeah.
I love that guy.
He's hilarious.
He's great.
He's fascinating.
I've never really interacted with him.
Yeah,
he's a sociopath.
Yeah, he's a high functioning psychopath. It's really interesting. It's really interesting to hear his. I mean, I say that unironically. Like, it's really, really super interesting to hear his takes on things.
Oh,
because
his and my humor's almost the same.
Is that a good thing?
It's entertaining as fuck. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, it's nice when you find somebody that has a same sort of sense of humor as you do, anyway.
Well, I can say shit
that's how me and Rage roll.
Get me in trouble in like every stream or every show or every podcast and like lots of trouble, and it's just like, oh, hey man, I agree. How about this? And you're like, oh fuck, I've met my soulmate.
It's a bromance. My internet bromance is Inane Dragon.
Is it?
Yeah, Puff and I are. We've been bromancing for a while now.
I've noticed that. I've noticed that on Twitter. Y'all are quite fond of each other.
Well,
he's my favorite.
Mine and Alucard's.
He's a cool dude.
He is. Yeah, Inane's pretty cool too. I like him. I like his posts. I follow him as well. Well,
He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Smart.
I made some kind of weird ass Scooby-Doo reference, and fucking Alucard snapped up on it, and I'm like, dude, you've got a sick sense of humor if you got what I was saying. And it was love at first tweet.
Yeah, same thing with me and Inane, because I started off with like knocking on the fourth wall, where I, like the very first time I ever like interacted with him, like we were just going back and forth about him being a dragon, and we've been cool ever since. Right. So I was just like, listen, don't get all fucking huffy and melt your fucking keyboard, man. And ever since then, we've been cool.
Well, I'm writing this weird fan fictions in the Scooby-Doo universe where Shaggy's an ex-Delta Force operator, and Scooby-Doo was like a super secret intelligence program for the military. And I've got, they're all old now, and Fred was killed in their version of Vietnam, and Daphne's really a lesbian, and it's just, I probably would get in trouble with.
Sounds wholesome.
It's like, I'm here for the story, Shaggy. May I call you Shaggy? Please tell me of the Scooby-Doo.
That's hilarious. That's an AU I've never heard of there in relation
Did you guys,
to the Mystery Machine crew.
Did you guys ever watch the Venture Brothers episode that had the Scooby-Doo references in it?
No, I don't think so.
It's called Viva Las Muertes, and like, so it shows up, and like Shaggy is like schizophrenic, and the version of Scooby talks to him and tries to get him to kill people. And Velma's like this like super crazy feminist, and Daphne is like what was the like Patty Hearst?
Shit!
And he's like, you don't want to go back in your box, do you? It's like terrible. It's terrible, but it's hilarious, man.
Nice.
Freaking the Shaggy character and the Scooby-Doo character. I can't remember their names in the show because it's different. But they're walking down the hallway, and Scooby-Doo's talking to him, and he's like, schoolgirl outfits and the pretty hair, Sonny. The hair needs to be punished, Sonny.
Nice. I'm going to have to check that. Anything Scooby-Doo I'm fanatical about, except for Scrappy-Doo. Fuck Scrappy-Doo. Scrappy-Doo's like the Jar Jar Binks of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That's actually a good way to put it.
Satanic Apologist, are you part of the group Twitter thing that we get our link from?
No.
Oh, okay.
What is this Twitter thing you speak of?
It's a group chat that Nadine got it going for me just to drop one link to jump into these things.
Oh, add me. Add me, shit. I'll participate, man. Shit.
It grew a brain of its own after that.
Yeah.
It became a living, breathing thing. I'm gonna shoot a link to the just a clip from that episode into that chat.
Tag me in it so it shows up on my feed.
We'll add you to it. Add him to there.
I just got done printing. I play this game, the Mythos card game. It's set in Cthulhu land. And I finally found the Scooby-Doo expansion that these guys made as shits and grins. They downloaded it, got it printed out on cards. It's so fucking pretty.
Sounds like it. Did you guys watch, speaking of Cthulhu, did you guys watch it, Matt's new, like he's got his new channel where they're doing, what's it called? The Godless,
Oh, Oh, the couch
Oh,
thing.
it's not that. Yeah, the Couchbound Yetis. Did you guys watch that?
I
No.
haven't yet. It's on my to watch list though.
It was really good. I enjoyed it. I was watching it. They were talking about a lot of about H.P. Lovecraft stuff, and I was obsessed with Lovecraft when I was a kid.
Man, the story of Lovecraft is so Lovecraftian.
Yeah, it is.
If y'all seen the read his like bio and everything.
Yeah,
man,
I did a report on him as a kid.
It's so fitting for what he wrote, though.
Yeah,
definitely. Gosh.
A buddy of mine lives where Lovecraft settled and ended up dying, and he sent me a bunch of pictures from his grave, and I thought it was just cool as fuck.
That is cool as fuck.
Awesome. It's very few people have a grip on the creative world like he did.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And to so radically change, literary fiction in general.
Right.
He's definitely the most influential horror writer, I think, of all time. I mean,
now
he is so freaking emulated by everybody. I mean, John Carpenter's practically made a career out of emulating.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, I mean, his stuff was so good, and he wasn't recognized from it. And of course, I'm a gamer, so have y'all played Darkest Dungeon yet?
No.
Oh man, guys, if you like Lovecraft, you can get it for. I know you can get it for the iPad. Any low grade PC can run it. It's called Darkest Dungeon, and it's a Lovecraftian horror roguelike dungeon, and it is fan-freaking-tastic. I've spent so many hours playing that game, and it nails the mood. The Lovecraftian horror, kind of despair. It's so good.
Okay.
The game is so good.
There was another one that came out. I think you can only get it on what was the Nintendo Cube, the GameCube. I think you can only get it on that.
Yeah.
There was a game called Eternal Darkness.
Yeah, it was good too.
That was straight up Lovecraft.
It was awesome. Darkest Dungeon, in my mind, nailed Lovecraftian gaming.
Nice
to the T. It's so good.
I spent an exorbitant.
You're roboting again.
Yeah, we're roboting.
Motherfucker.
Welcome to my pain, dude, because usually it's me creating fucking issues.
Easy, Stephen Hawking.
I spent so much money getting like the original printings of some of Lovecraft's shit from the Gazette tier, from the Gazettes and the magazines, the pulp magazines that he wrote in. Just fucking love that shit.
What do you guys think of Clive Barker? Because that came up as well.
One of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
The
Things of Always.
On my audiobooks are Stephen King, Clive Barker. I actually play H.P. Lovecraft almost all the time.
H.P. Lovecraft. That's great.
And
Not a big King fan.
Anne Rice and Anne McCaffrey. Anne McCaffrey.
Oh, I love
Crystal Singer series, the song series. But also on my books is, would you believe, Brian Green? Dragonlance. I like those. The Singer series. I like the Singer series the best.
Okay, has anybody here done the Wheel of Time yet?
Dude.
You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
I have all of the books, and half of my collection was autographed by Robert Jordan.
No,
before
I'm
he
so
passed.
jealous. See, oh my god!
Before he passed away, I managed to get like up to book 7 autographed.
So did that like ruin high fantasy for you? Because it has for me.
Yes, it did.
Like, I mean, Brandon Sanderson does a good job of all. Like, I don't know if you've read the Mistborn stuff. It's pretty good.
No, fuck Brandon Sanderson.
Oh man, no, I thought he did a pretty good job with the last couple of books, or 3 books.
I'm being silly. Of course, I don't like his other. I don't really care for his stuff, but he did a really good job on finishing the series.
So I haven't done the Oathbringer ones yet, but the Mistborn I thought were interesting. It's not Robert Jordan. Right, and nobody ever will be.
This is very true.
My biggest problem with the Wheel of Time is once I got done reading those, I thought, well, hey, high fantasy's done. Everything that could possibly be done. Screw George R. R. Martin. Screw Tolkien. It's just nothing compares to the scope and magnitude of Wheel of Time.
Tolkien's pretty damn good, though, man.
No, man.
Tolkien's good, but
I love Tolkien. Don't get me wrong.
No, he's got.
I fell in love. I felt so deeply in love. I mean, I'm not saying he's not better. I got to read it, but I fell so deeply in love with the characters in Tolkien's trilogy that, just deeply in love with the characters.
Oh,
to the point where I read the books after I watched the movies, and they didn't ruin the movies for me, but buddy, they made them not near there were parts in the movies where I was like, why did they change that? Like the March of the Ents. In the books, the March of the Ents is so freaking cool. They're like, we're going to war, and they're walking.
Tom Bombadil. I mean, what the crap are you?
Yeah, how could you make a movie without Tom Bombadil?
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Yeah,
that was one of the coolest scenes too, where he takes the ring and he puts it on, he dances around, he takes it off, and flips it in the air, and throws it back to him. Like, I don't even care about this.
I cried when Gollum died.
If you like the character building that Tolkien does, I suggest that you don't read The Wheel of Time. Because
it won't change it. I'll still read it because it will, I mean, I'll still like Tolkien afterwards.
Oh no, I love Tolkien and I love everything about him. But man, The Wheel of Time.
There's very few books have ever made me cry from reading them, but I will unabashedly admit the day that Hopper died.
Oh, dude, shut your face. I was bawling like a little girl in my truck listening to the audiobooks.
When he left the Wolf Dream permanently, I was done.
Yeah, no, that whole series and the culmination of the series, which of course Jordan outlined it, but the entire message behind those books, all freaking 7 days of audiobooks, almost 8 days of audiobooks, was so brilliant. I mean, it's just nothing else in high fantasy has ever been done
exactly.
Like that. And nothing will be. Nothing will come close to touching those books in my mind.
The only thing that I hated about the Wheel of Time series was it took 20 fucking years to tell.
Yeah, but how?
Oh God, that's how freaking dark. How about Dark Tower by freaking? The Dark Tower by Stephen King. Technically, it's an amalgamation of different styles, but that's a high fantasy book, and I mean,
it's really good.
You can't. I don't know. I've never read anything that touched that personally. In the way that he ties it into all of his other books and into his extended universe, and just Roland Deschain is such a fascinating character. Is there a badder motherfucker in fiction history than him? As I don't know who it is.
Randolph.
Yeah, Randolph. Lose there in Telamon, really.
Yeah, Lose there in Telamon.
If you know mythology, like if you're well versed in other religions and mythology and things like that, the Wheel of Time will be significantly more interesting for you.
Yeah, you'll recognize.
Similarly to how Stephen King kind of connected his extended universe into the Dark Tower, Robert Jordan does that with all of the religious and mythological traditions. He brings them all together, and it's
Did you read American Gods by Neil Gaiman?
It's on my wish list.
All right, awesome. American Gods. I think American Gods as a standalone book is probably in my top 3 fiction books of all time. The sheer freaking, because he touches on so many different religions. It's just, and the way he proses it, it's almost like you end up. It's like one of those books that'll make you think about shit. You know what I mean? It'll really make you think about shit. It's so well written. He did a book that was an offshoot of it called The Anansi Boys. I fell in love with the character of Anansi the Spider God because of.
So, no spoilers because that's on my wish list. I have read his the Norse mythology one, and I thought it was fantastic.
Neil Gaiman's amazing.
Yeah.
Anything with Gaiman's awesome. It's the Sandman alone actually started me liking DC again.
I would say Gaiman in terms of comic book, I would say Gaiman comes in second to me only to Alan Moore, who I think is the greatest comic book writer that ever lived.
I can't.
Have y'all read the new
disagree
Judas?
with you.
Hold on, let me see. Let me find it.
I mean, The Killing Joke, The Watchmen. I mean, The Watchmen alone is genius on a level that I don't think has been ever been approached before and has not been touched afterwards. I mean, The Watchmen is just.
I have too many hobbies. I had to give up. I had to give up my comic book collecting. So
I don't know if you guys, y'all are all fans of like Christian mythos and stuff like this. Judas, you can probably see it there. Is a fantastic standalone little graphic novel. I won't spoil it for anybody that might actually read it, but it's one of the best graphic novels I've read since like Watchmen and other things like that. But
yeah, I've already put it down on the list.
Yeah, it's the story of Judas told from a very kind of almost a Satanist perspective. You know, like I won't spoil much of it, but it's Judas questioning why he was pre-chosen to be the betrayer. And it's written from his perspective, like you knew all along, but I was the one that was going to betray you, and kind of his inner battle as he journeyed through hell. It's really man, it's so good, and the art on it is just fantastic.
Will you shoot like an Amazon link to it into the Twitter chat so I can catch it later? Because
it's so good.
Speaking of Christian, like I guess fiction, satire kind of stuff. Did anybody read Christopher Moore the book Lamb?
No.
It's dude. So it's called Lamb, and it's like the title is Lamb: The Gospel According to Biff, Christ's childhood friend, and it chronicles a fictitious tale of what happened between Christ at the temple when he was 12 until he begins his preaching, from like a satirical kind of. Like I'm 99% sure Moore is an atheist, but it's hilarious. It's like fall out of your chair. Like I was listening to the audiobook on a road trip, and I had to pull over because I was laughing so hard I thought I was going to wreck my car.
Okay, got it.
But another thing about it is that Moore claims that his highest praise on the book comes from Christians who are just like, you really caught like the character of Jesus, because he doesn't do it in a way that kind of still holds on to the idea of Jesus actually being sinless, but it's like Jesus struggling through figuring out who he is and what his job is and what he's supposed to do. And he travels to like India and China, and he goes to like Tibetan monks, and he learns all these other philosophies, and then he comes back to Jerusalem to do his ministry. And it's hilarious. And it's touching. It's such a good read.
What was that called?
Nice.
Lamb. I can't suggest Christopher Moore highly enough in general. Like his books are just fucking hilarious. His vampire trilogy is so funny that, like I said, that's another one. I was listening to You Suck or Bite Me, one of those. I was listening to the audiobook to that on a road trip, and I had to pull into a freaking rest area because I was laughing my damn full head off.
Well, I just picked it up. It's on Audible, right?
Yeah. And the audiobook is amazing.
Because I just ordered a hard copy.
I loved it. It's so satirical. It somehow manages to be totally irreverent and reverent at the same time. I don't know how he does it, but it's a genius read, man.
I'm definitely going to check that one out.
All right, so when are we starting a book club?
We need to.
We need to. At this point,
we need to start.
Like the last hour of this chat has been just people bouncing back and forth books and stuff, which is fantastic. Because I'm always looking for a good read.
Well, why don't we? I mean, would you guys be opposed to starting up a separate like Twitter group, like a private DM Twitter group devoted to that, and then like maybe doing a stream on it every now and again?
Yeah, man, suits the hell out of me.
That'd be cool.
Because I'm all about that. And I know Doe-Eyed Atheist would be fucking just absolutely ecstatic about that kind of thing.
Well, I wanted to get a fucking atheist poetry group thing going, but
I do poetry. I do atheist poetry. I'm a writer.
So I'm a writer, but I've never actually shared any poetry publicly. So
if you share one, I'll share one.
Why not?
I'm artistic by nature, but I have a really hard time sharing my stuff.
So, I created a forum, I bought my domain and I set up a forum on it. It's www.atheist-poetry.com. Fucking go there, register, post your shit, man. I'll read it, definitely.
My shit, if you go to my blog, dukebonanza.com, there's a couple of my poems on there.
Yeah, I've been to your blog. They're quite good, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I enjoyed them. So
I started
you have
writing
one fan at
poetry
least.
years and years ago. Part in because nobody wanted to write lyrics to songs, and part because I'm one of those poetry fags.
Yeah,
I
same.
memorize poetry as a hobby.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
What do you guys think of like one of my very favorite poems is The Second Coming by W.B. Yeats?
Yep.
Never read it.
Oh, it's fucking so good. He wrote it. There were several poems that came out. Like T.S. Eliot wrote The Hollow Men around the same time.
Yeah.
And both of that and like The Second Coming were the result of the two authors or writers walking around post or traveling around post World War I Europe and just seeing the devastation. And The Second Coming is like dark in a way that is just palpable. You can just feel it. It's just so good.
Well,
It's got this great line. He's got this great line where he says, "The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity," which I think is a really good description for the way things are going now.
Nice.
Well, that one grips you from the start too. I mean, I don't know, it's so good.
It is amazing.
He was good across the board, and T.S.
That
Eliot
and
was too.
it? Yeah, so was Percy Shelley.
Yeah.
Are any of you guys into twisting puzzles?
Twisted puzzles?
Like
I have
this
no
thing?
idea what that is.
Oh, yeah.
Like the
No, I
Rubik's Cube and shit?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm too stupid for that, man. Come on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You was one of those little short bus kids, wasn't you?
Yeah. Look, I'm from Alabama. I can't help it.
Where at in Alabama? If you don't mind my asking.
It's a little town. Do you know where Selma, Alabama is at?
Yes.
I'm about an hour due south of Selma, in a little nowhere town.
My dad grew up in Phoenix City, Alabama, Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah, I know where that's at.
Funny story about my dad. My dad, when he was young, was actually he did like some work for the Dixie Mafia. He was a hard ass, and somewhere in his life, he became a born again Christian and immediately stopped drinking. And so it's one of those things where like my dad's testimony story is the one thing I think that keeps everybody in my family except for me a Christian. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't there for it, so I didn't see it, but I've heard far too many people in my family say that it happened the way it happened to doubt it. But apparently he went from being just a terrible drunk to being sober like in a day and never touched it again. But he was like a bad dude in Columbus, Georgia. And so if you fast forward like 30 years after he moved away, I'm in Columbus, Georgia, keeping up with my grandmother who had Alzheimer's. My dad's people were all really shady, and my uncle was robbing my grandmother. He was like scamming my grandmother to get drugs, right? So my dad asked me just to go and stay there and call him if anything came up because he had something he had to do, and he couldn't get there immediately. So I was staying there, and I was hanging out with my cousin. We wanted to get some liquor. So he had this friend we were all underage, but he had this friend that was she was the girlfriend to the guy that owned the liquor store, or not owned it, but worked at the liquor store. So she went in and bought a bottle of gin, and we're driving back to my cousin's house, and I get pulled over by a cop. And this old cop, this old like freaking cowboy looking dude, he comes walking up, and he's all like, "I know y'all ain't old enough to be buying liquor at this liquor store, son. Let me see your ID." So I handed him my ID. He looks at it, and he says my name to me. He says, my last name. And he says, "Who's your dad? Who's your daddy?" I said, "William." And he went, "Billy?" And I went, "Yeah, Billy Pritchett. That's him." And he said, he looked at my ID and looked at me, handed it back to me. He said, "You can go." I kid you not. I was just like, I was never more like, there was a part of me that always wondered, like, did Dad really get into all that stuff he said, or is there a little bit of, is it a little bit magnified or whatnot? All my doubts were assuaged at that point. Like 30 years later, this guy who hasn't seen my dad in 30 years looks at it, here's my dad's name, hands my ID back to me and says, I don't care what you just did, you can go.
Yeah, my dad actually has a very similar story, except he relapsed and is no longer a born again. Well, he believes himself to be a born again Christian, but he still is. He was a 1%er biker before I was born, and while I was an infant. And of course, if you don't know what a 1%er is they did a poll back in the day that said whenever biker gangs started going on the rise, and they said that 99% of bikers are law-abiding citizens. And so the non-law-abiding bikers decided to take the 1% on as a moniker for success. And so I always heard all these wild stories that Dad used to tell, but, I always knew him as the church-going kind of Christian guy until I was much older and he kind of relapsed. Until I met the local sheriff. And I just got introduced to him. I was a Boy Scout, and so we went and did a tour of the jail or whatever. And he says, well, are you Tommy's son? And I said, yeah, that's who it is. And he says, well, let me tell you about the first time I met your father. He came into my sheriff's office and laid a .38 special down on my desk and said, I'm going to kill this person with this gun, so go ahead and get my cell ready. He said, and then it was a race to get to that person to get them out of the state, before your daddy killed somebody. So I know exactly where you're coming from with that story. And, of course, little, 11-year-old me was just wide-eyed, like, oh, my God, Is my dad really capable of this?
Yeah. Well, it was a funny thing because my dad was always one of those, he wasn't my dad was one of those guys that if you walked up to him starting trouble, he'd just lay you out.
Yeah.
Right? He didn't talk. There was no talking. If you walked up to him and were polite and nice, he was the nicest guy in the world. But if you walked up to him with any kind of aggression and he sensed that you were at all trying to work yourself up to violence, he'd just knock somebody out in the parking lot, just right there.
Yeah.
And so it's like a weird conundrum with my pops. But he definitely, that was just one of those, just that moment when that cop handed me my ID back, I was like, I don't doubt anything my dad ever said, ever again.
Yeah, my dad, fundamentalist Christian or not, my dad was always very quiet. He's a big man. He's like 6'5", 6'6" almost. Just a huge, just fucking like silverback gorilla of a man. And always quiet. You never heard anything. He never got too upset. He would never give us he would never tell us to do something. He would always make a suggestion. It was never, Mark, take out the garbage. He would just make a passing comment. Wow, it looks like the grass needs to be mowed. Or, looks like the trash is getting kind of full, don't you think? And, you'd get your ass busted if you didn't pick up on his little thing. But I remember one day, never saw my dad prone to violence except for one day where some neighbor threatened to kick my little brother's ass. And Dad walks out as close as he could, goes up to the man. He says one or two words, and the guy started going off on him. And he just reached out, grabbed the man by his neck, literally Darth Vadered his ass. Walked back 2 steps, put the man down, and just stood there, quiet as could be. And the guy kind of registered what the fuck was going on, turned around, walked away, never said another word to me or my brother.
That's funny.
You never knew the man, never knew he had a violent bone in his body. And then because him and my uncle, they were both in the military during Vietnam, and they both served in Vietnam, which I didn't know until after I got back from the Gulf War. They took me out, and then they told us, because Dad was very tight-lipped about his military service. Him and Uncle Johnny would never talk about anything military or anything of that ilk. But when I got back from Kuwait, I got more than an earful over a couple of drinks at a bar.
Yeah, Dad was a non-vet. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. My dad didn't go to Nam. He was in, I think he was in the military around the time of Korea, but he had some kind of physical thing that he ended up getting released from the military. So he wasn't eligible for draft when Vietnam came around. But I remember, like, there's another story about my dad. He was like, my dad had both his knees replaced back before they kind of perfected the thing. So he had like the butchery job, and he always had to have a shopping cart, even if he was just going for something small, because he would just use it to lean on and walk. He was trying to get into Walmart, and some guy like body checked my pops into the door, and Dad turned around to say, like, "Oh, excuse me," because he thought he'd stepped in front of him, and the guy was probably in his 30s. My dad was like 60s, and the guy said, "That'll teach your old ass to get the fuck out of my way." And my dad just punched him in the face and knocked him out. Walked over, got in his Cadillac, and drove off. You know what I mean? I've got a ring that my dad gave me. It's a gold ring with an onyx stone in it, and you can see all the dents in it. from where somebody just did the wrong thing. We used to joke around back when I still believed in God. We used to joke around that God would run bullies into my dad on purpose.
Sweet.
Well, I hate to, guys, but 4 o'clock's going to come mighty early in the morning, so I'm out of here. It's been fun,
Yeah, I
guys.
gotta go eat too, so I gotta shut it down.
Good night.
I haven't had dinner yet.
Well, go eat something, Neil. Dang, you can't be dying on us.
I'm not gonna die on you.
Yeah, don't be starved to death.
If the little drummer boy would count for a second.
All right, guys, take it easy. Had fun.
Okay.
Yeah, you
night.
too, Evan.
See you later,
Jump in, man.
Set up that book club, dude.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. As soon as we get off, I'm going to work on it. I'm going to call it the Unholy Book Club.
There you go.
There you
Fuck
go.
yeah.
I'm
I'm definitely
about.
down for that.
Roll Tide. Y'all take it easy.
Roll Tide.
All right, guys. Take care. All right, guys, I'm going to shut it down anyways. I got to go eat.
Yeah.
All right, love you, man.
Thanks again, everyone, for jumping in.
Bye,
guys.
And
Thanks for
Satanic
having me.
Apologist. Oh, dude, it was. I had a really good time talking with you today. We had a great chat, I think. So, and Nadine, Duke, always a pleasure. Until
Don't lie.
Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, I will be talking with the lovely Shannon Q at approximately 4 p.m. my time, 8 p.m. her time, so it's a little late. I'm not sure if she'll do the hangout after, but we'll definitely have an hour with her anyways.
That's about
tune in
1
for that.
a.m. my time. Yeah.
There you go. You're a trooper. Just hooch more on the whiskey and you'll be fine.
Definitely. Always.
Love me some Shannon
thanks,
Q.
everyone, for watching. Yeah, she's amazing. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Tune in for that chat with Shannon Q, and then I have to set up a whole bunch more because I got a lot more people that want to jump in on this. So,
Cool.
Anyways, yeah, it's starting to roll. I like it.
I'll talk to you all on Wednesday, I reckon.
All right. Peace out, everyone. Thanks for watching, and thanks for everyone who joined in.
Hell Satan.
And remember, guys. Yeah,
Hail
Satan.
Satan.
Y'all need more Satan. And remember, it's called faith because it's not knowledge.
Yay.